What is the impact of Trump 2.0 on Africa trade? As Trump is sworn in today as 47th President of the United States of America, how will that affect US-Africa trade relationships? Indeed, African countries need to be proactively strategic to consolidate the improvements and opportunities for better commercial relations, but also recognizing the Donald Trump team are looking for fat to cut, and many costly concessions will be under the radar. Also, the other challenge is Africa adding more value to its exports before hoping to benefit from deals with global trading giants like the US. The impact of Trump 2.0 on Africa trade looks neutral. Hello, this is Bode Oshosami, and welcome to another episode of Global Business Insights, where we take a closer look at some of the topical global business themes. Trump has just over 2 years before the midterm elections, which may change the balance of power in Congress. Not enough time to pursue his many priorities: trade tariffs, energy dominance, tax cuts, and immigration, which will all be on the front burner. Today, a boost to US-Africa trade is not obvious, also given the suspicion with multilateralism and a stricter America-centric stance. In the Biden tenure, according to an article in foreignaffairs.com, US firms concluded over 500 deals with Africa worth over $14 billion, paltry compared to Chinese investments. The single biggest achievement, that is the $250 million financing package by Washington to develop the Lobito Atlantic Railway, is more symbolic than substantial. Trump will be looking for great deals and every opportunity to slow China down. Africa has a huge infrastructure and energy access gap, and much unrealized potential in what could be the next wave of regional growth. America will be tempted by Africa's potential for market growth and will not miss its increasing geopolitical clout. A bold deal with Africa could also blunt China's aggressive and multifaceted geoeconomic penetration in the continent. In the past, Trump had attempted a deal with Kenya, which led to a trade pact and which shows his preference for bilateral cooperation with maybe the regional hubs like Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. It's not clear how or if this bilateral approach complements the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, and other regional trade agreements, such as the African Continental Free Trade Agreement or the East African Community. A transactional approach will do little to advance the flagship AGOA. That's a legislation that offers tariff-free trade access to certain sub-Saharan African countries. Already, Republicans were moving strongly to disqualify South Africa from AGOA concessions. Still, so far the verdict is that AGOA pales in insignificance compared to what China offers, with even much lighter conditions. In 2018, the Trump administration unveiled Prosper Africa. That is an initiative helping U.S. companies seeking to invest in Africa, working with the Development Finance Corporation, DFC. Biden kept this initiative running, and so far it has invested more than £8 billion in Africa. Last week, Prosper Africa and African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, signed a new memorandum of understanding to boost trade and investment between the United States and Africa in key sectors. So there is a bit of traction there. But trading with Africa has its challenges. Countries like Nigeria need more factory activity, higher levels of production and services, so they are not just exporting crude oil. This won't happen without adequate electricity, infrastructure development, and technology adoption, all key given that logistics and trade systems remain mostly paper-based. Mr. Anthony Osibodu, based in the UK, is a seasoned professional who has traversed various sectors from civil engineering to information technology before settling in the logistics sector. He has spent over 25 years active in the logistics industry.
Nigeria's export and manufacturing sectors have faced significant challenges, I believe there's a significant opportunity emerging right now. Recent government policies aimed at stabilizing the exchange rates are creating a more predictable environment for exporters and manufacturers. A stable currency reduces uncertainty in pricing and helps manufacturers plan better, particularly those sourcing raw materials or targeting international markets. Additionally, with the new refineries coming online, Nigeria is reducing its dependence on imported fuel. That not only addresses the foreign exchange pressures, but also creates room for local industries to thrive by redirecting resources to productive sectors like manufacturing and exports. However, to capitalize on this momentum, we must tackle structural issues such as inadequate infrastructure and high production costs. If the government and private sectors can work together to improve transport, energy, and access to credit, Nigeria will be well positioned to expand its manufacturing base and leverage its export potential. Nigeria's trade and logistics sector has certainly evolved, but there remain significant challenges holding it back. Historically, we've relied heavily on crude oil exports while importing most of our finished products. This reliance has created a logistics landscape fraught with inefficiencies, from inadequate infrastructure to overly complicated processes that made trade both expensive and frustrating. Yes, we've invested in roads, rails, and water transportation. These systems still lag behind what is needed to support sufficient trade. Poor road conditions cause delays and inflate logistics costs. On top of that, our extensive waterways, which should be a major advantage, remain underutilized due to insufficient investments and poor port facilities. This combination drives up costs and reduces competitiveness for Nigerian goods both locally and internationally. However, the depreciation of Nigeria has brought a unique opportunity. While tough for many Nigerians, it has made non-oil exports such as food items, textiles, minerals more competitive on the international market. I've seen a remarkable uptick in sectors that were previously dormant. Planes leaving Nigeria, which used to fly out empty, are now filled with exports like foodstuffs and Asoebi fabrics. Unfortunately, most of this trade is informal because the formal processes are too complicated and burdensome. The truth is Nigerians are rule followers by nature, but the excessive paperwork, delays and roadblocks in our systems often force people to resort to informal channels to get things done. While these shortcuts ensure survival, they deprive the government of critical taxes and economy of much needed revenues. For example, minerals are being exported on a significant scale, but weak regulation means that much of this goes unrecorded and untaxed, which limits the benefits to the nation. Now, regarding the incoming Trump administration, there is an interesting angle to consider. Trump is a deal maker who dislikes trading blocs, preferring bilateral agreements where the US can negotiate directly. This is an opportunity for Nigeria. As Africa's largest population and one of the most significant economies, we are an attractive partners. By leveraging our size and economic potential, we can position ourselves strategically to negotiate favorable trade terms with the US without having to act as a part of a bloc. To fully realize these opportunities, however, we must address the systemic challenges in our trade and logistics system. The ease of doing business in Nigeria depends largely on what you are comparing it with. Compared to smaller African countries, Nigeria offers a much larger market, more resources and greater opportunities. However, when compared to more developed economies or even other major African economies like South Africa or Egypt, Nigeria lags behind. On the positive side, Nigeria has a strategic location, making it a central trade hub for West Africa. With a population of 200 million, the market demand for both imported goods and exports such as crude oil, agricultural products and minerals is substantial. Additionally, the government's push for economic diversification, including initiatives like the Zero Oil Plan, has opened up new opportunities in non-oil exports, which has become even more competitive thanks to the depreciation of the naira. That said, significant challenges remain. One of the biggest hurdles is Nigeria's complex regulatory environment. Multiple agencies such as Customs, SON, and NAFDAC are involved in the import and export processes, and the always coordinate ineffectively. This leads to delays and increased costs. Infrastructure also remains a major issue. Poor road networks and congested ports like Apapa and Tinkan and unreliable power supply add significant costs and delays to the logistics processes. I'm going to make particular mention of the Fomen system as an example of one of those complicated processes that hinder business. This system, which was designed to monitor foreign exchange usage and ensure trade compliance, overlaps with other requirements like the pre-arrival assessment reports, which is the PAR, making the process even more complicated and time-consuming than necessary. This redundancy adds to the cost of doing business and hampers Nigeria's competitiveness on the global stage. To summarize, while Nigeria has a strategic advantage due to the location and market size, the operational challenges like the regulatory inefficiencies, infrastructure gaps, and reduced processes still pose significant obstacles. If we were to simplify trade processes, enforce compliance more effectively, and invest in better infrastructure, Nigeria would unlock full potential and become a far more attractive destination for businesses and formal trade.
Indeed, some thinking out of the box and leadership and vision is required. A strong business case has to be there for a different deal between the US and Africa, harvesting huge opportunities to trade. Trade barriers and bottlenecks embedded in African logistics and supply chain components also require urgent attention through the needed ports and ease of doing business reform, which are ongoing in most of the African hubs. TikTok is in the process of restoring service after Trump said he plans to issue an executive order today to delay the Chinese-owned app's ban in the US. Trump also said he wants 50% US ownership of the Chinese-controlled app, and this was after the app shut down on Saturday as the Supreme Court on Friday upheld a law requiring its parent, ByteDance, sell the platform or face a ban. Trump, who has twice previously attended the World Economic Forum Davos, will join digitally on the 23rd of January. The 5-day forum themed collaboration for the intelligent age kicks off today. It's also yet another opportunity to learn about the new Trump administration's policy priorities. And according to a recent survey, 9 out of 10 US firms operating in Europe see proposed Trump tariffs worsening transatlantic economic relations. The American Chamber of Commerce to the European Union, with over 160 members, including Apple, Goldman Sachs, Meta, and Visa, today said its survey showed 2/3 expected US policies to harm their operations in Europe in the coming year. Incoming First Lady Melania today launched her own meme coin ahead of her husband's inauguration. Trump had launched his own meme coin, that is a cryptocurrency that takes inspiration from online communities. That was on Friday via the Solana blockchain network. These coins send a clear message that crypto and blockchain technology is here to stay and well entrenched into America's financial future, sending Bitcoin to new record highs. On Friday, signals of economic revival in China boosted optimism, and a strong Wall Street also helped Asian markets amid all the Trump 2.0 not fully abated jitters. Earlier today, Asian stocks closed mixed ahead of Trump's inauguration as US president. Also, Martin Luther King Day holiday. The US markets are closed. Well, that's all we have on this episode of Global Business Insights. Thanks for watching, and I want to thank all subscribers as the channel hits 10,000 subscribers today, also a year after it started. Thanks again for following the channel. This is Bode Oshosani.